What is going on, everyone? Today we're going to be ranking every single Call of Duty Zombies mode, but not based on how good or bad the games are, rather based on how good or bad the soundtracks are from each of these Zombies experiences. Before getting into this, I want to make this absolutely clear. When I talk about soundtracks, I am talking about every single musical component of any Zombies experience. So that includes licensed music, it includes original music. Both of those are two separate things. Licensed music are essentially music that Activision purchases a license for to use in their game, but it's music that already existed before the Zombies mode ever came out. And then there's original music that is specifically created for the Zombies experience itself. And there's also different types of music even within that. There's background music, there's round change music, there's the Easter egg songs, which are full-on songs with lyrics usually. Then there's the game over music, there's the menu music. Literally any piece of music that can be within any of these Zombies experiences will be included in this ranking. Coming in last place, I'm going to go with Advanced Warfare's Exo Zombies. Now, I'm going to be completely honest, the bottom 4 slots here are very similar in terms of their problems. So I had a hard time ranking the bottom 4 here. I kept switching it a bunch, but I decided on putting Exo Zombies in last place because I feel like the problems here are probably the worst out of any of them. First of all, there isn't really that much music on these maps. There's a couple moments where they have musical cues playing. Obviously, you got the round change music. Obviously, you have music that sometimes plays during special rounds. And it's okay. Like, it's not great music or anything. It's just kind of generic, like futuristic type music. And I never really found it to be that iconic or interesting, and it doesn't really last that long in my memory after playing it, to the point where I couldn't even think of the music off the top of my head. I had to look up a video to remind myself what the music even was in this game for the most part. I like the menu music. The menu music's pretty good, but majority of it's just kind of generic, and you also get a lot of it repeated map to map. You don't get a lot of original music map to map, and I think it's just not great. It does not leave a lasting memory whatsoever, and unfortunately, that's just going to have to put this in the last place. In number 10 spot, I'm going to go with Vanguard. Now, Vanguard does have a fantastic composer behind it with Bear McCreary. He is amazing at what he does, but of course, a lot of the music used in Zombies is just stripped from other modes in the game. We're going to see that a lot throughout Zombies. Zombies does reuse music a lot, but when it does it so egregiously, obviously it becomes a bigger problem, in my opinion. But there are some original tracks here, and some of them are actually pretty good. I mean, like I said, Bear McCreary, he knows what he's doing. But again, just like I said for Exo Zombies, a lot of it is reused map to map. You don't get a lot of original music, even to the point where the Easter egg songs on this map are quite literally just reused Easter egg songs from years ago. They took the one from Shinonuma and just took away the lyrics and just did the instrumental. And I mean, it's a good song. I love that song, but you know, just getting the same exact song again. And then you get, really weirdly, you get the Togder Toten Easter egg song kind of remixed a little bit for the Easter egg song on the Archon, which is really strange. But round change music is whatever. It's not bad necessarily. It's just I don't really find it to be that great. And obviously the game itself not being good doesn't help its case whatsoever. So it makes the music even less iconic than it probably would be otherwise. In number 9 spot, I've got Modern Warfare Zombies, which it honestly just sounds like I'm ranking these games in total, but I swear that's a coincidence that the music ranking is very similar to my actual ranking. And Modern Warfare Zombies, there are some decent pieces of music here, don't get me wrong, but they're kind of few and far between. I feel like the best music comes from when you're in the Dark Ether, but outside the Dark Ether, there's really not much. I don't really feel like there's enough to hold me over. There's a lot of points in this game where it's just complete silence, and obviously that doesn't really allow you to have this sort of nostalgic feel for the map the same way you would when there's a lot of music being used on the map all the time. And I will say the menu music is some of the best we've ever seen. This version of Damned is incredible. But yeah, there's not enough there. There's not enough original music there to really hold me over. But there's more than Vanguard and Exo Zombies, at least to the point where I do find the music to be just a little bit better. And it's got like a metal feel to it, which is pretty cool. It fits the map quite well. In number 8 spot, I've got World War II, which just like for the last couple ones, it's got a similar problem where a lot of the music is just kind of reused throughout the game. It's reused from campaign, and it's also reused map to map. But there is a lot more music actually being used on the maps. You do hear it a lot more often, especially throughout the Easter egg, and the boss fight music is usually pretty good. Again, a lot of the times it's reused from the campaign, but it's really damn good, and it actually fits the Zombies mode quite well, especially if you've never played the campaign before. You wouldn't even register it as campaign music. You'd just be like, oh my god, this is incredible music, and it fits the map very, very well. which is kind of weird how they're able to do that, but I guess each map doesn't really feel that different enough in World War II to begin with, so the music just kind of works throughout all the maps quite well. But I like it. It's got a horror feel to it. You know, it's very, very creepy, very eerie a lot of the time. Sometimes you're just walking through the map and you just hear these like weird noises, which just helps with the ambience. You can tell the sound department just knows when to use certain types of music. They know when to use the eerie music, they know when to use the action-packed music, and it works really well on pretty much every map in the game. In number 7 spot is going to be World at War, which just was a really weird game to place because obviously if you played World at War, you know that it actually doesn't have a lot of music at all. Like there isn't much music being used. There isn't much soundtracks or anything like that. There's the round change music, there's the game over music, and then there's the Easter egg songs. That's really it. But the thing is those Easter egg songs especially are some of my favorite songs to ever exist. Beauty of Annihilation, The One, and Lullaby for a Dead Man are phenomenal songs by Kevin Sherwood, sung by Alana Segman. They are such good pieces of music to the point where it immediately puts us above those other 4 Call of Duty games. Even though you can't listen to this song again and again and again on the map, you can only listen to it once because that's how Easter egg songs usually work. It doesn't matter. There's such amazing pieces of music that the iconic nature of them has just made World at War so nostalgic for me ever since 2008 when I played it for the first time. So I have to put it here, even though of course you don't hear it that often. It doesn't matter. The songs are so good that whenever I hear them, I'm going to immediately think of that map, which ultimately helps with the personality of these maps, the fact that the songs are just so damn good that are tied to each of these maps. But obviously it can't be much higher than this because it doesn't really have much else music to even talk about. In number 6 spot, I'm going to go with Black Ops Cold War Zombies. And this is a really interesting one to talk about because I actually had a big issue with this game's soundtrack when the game first came out. And I still do. I mean, obviously it's higher on the list, but compared to the couple Black Ops games that came before it, obviously it's a lot lower. And my issues with this game mainly center around a couple different things. Well, we're going to get into everything. This is probably going to be the game we talk about the most in this video. First of all, a lot of reused music from campaign. Again, sometimes that happens and sometimes it's okay, but with a game coming out in 2020 after we had so many Black Ops games with original music, it was just weird to go from a bunch of original music to a game that mostly reuses music from the campaign for a lot of their zombies maps. Not all of them, but a lot of the music is definitely just stripped right from the campaign. For example, there's a couple different soundtracks in Firebase Z, literally ripped right from the campaign. The D Machine ending sequence and I guess you could call it a boss fight. I wouldn't call it a boss fight, but for the Easter egg, it's a great piece of music, but it is also taken straight from the campaign. And there's a lot of other music that does that as well. The music when you're doing, trial as well. All that music is taken from the campaign. I also don't think music is used enough in this game. Like if you go into Black Ops 3, Black Ops 4, which we're going to talk about later on this list, there's a lot of moments where you're just walking around the map and you just hear music. Like there's just music being played in the background. There's just some sort of background score, or while you're just shooting zombies. Like there's a lot of moments, especially in the early rounds when you're first exploring the map, where that happens. There's also map specific themes, which is one of my favorite things, which we'll talk about later as well. Cold War just kind of ditched most of that though. There really isn't much map specific themes. There's maybe like 1 or 2 thrown in there, but majority of it is just kind of gone. And again, a lot of that has to do with the fact that Cold War was obviously a rushed game. It was made in a lot shorter of a time than Treyarch is usually dealing with. It was made during the pandemic. There's a lot of reasons why it led to this. Obviously, I'm not, blind to that. But that doesn't change the fact that it's still a problem. It still negatively affects the game for me, and the fact that there was just not enough music to kind of add to the personality of these maps was a problem. But I think Mauer Toten and Forsaken actually did a lot better with this than D Machine and Firebase Z did. They didn't do amazing with it, but they did do better. Mauer Toten especially. Acid Bunny and Wrath are 2 of some of my favorite tracks ever in zombies. Acid Bunny was the music when you do the bunny Easter egg and you get into that little bunny arena and there's a pretty cool music playing there. And then Wrath is just the boss fight music. So all of that was fantastic. Really did enjoy that. But again, it's like the game overall just doesn't have enough music to kind of give these maps the personalities they deserve, and they were definitely lacking in the Easter egg song department. I do like Alone, that was the Easter egg song from D Machine, but other than that, there's really like nothing. Lost from Firebase Z wasn't very good. Amoeba is a licensed song, which is it's an okay song, but I don't really care that much about it. So overall, wasn't crazy about that there, but in general, I think Cold War definitely is a lot better than these other games we already talked about because there just is more music to deal with and there is more original music, and some of it is actually pretty damn good. A lot of the people in the music department like Brian Toohey, Kevin Sherwood, they do an absolutely amazing job and they obviously should be praised for it. And of course, who can forget about the Dead Ups Arcade music, because holy shit, that is fantastic music. Of course, a lot of the Dead Ups Arcade 3 music was already reused from Dead Ups Arcade 1 and 2, but there are some original tracks in there, and in general, it is obviously amazing music. In number 5 spot's gonna have to be Black Ops 1, and Black Ops 1 gets most credit here for being the first for a lot of things. Obviously, it was the first time we heard the classic iconic Damned theme as the menu music, and obviously that theme has been remixed quite a bit throughout Zombies history, but you know, you gotta appreciate where it came from. Then obviously the Easter egg songs are some of the best we've ever heard. You have 115, you have Abracadaver, you have Not Ready to Die from Avenged Sevenfold, Paradolia, Coming Home, which is not my favorite, but still, it's pretty decent. But you also have the first case of the Dead Ups Arcade music, and there's so many amazing pieces of music in Dead Ups Arcade, obviously. It's just, I love that style of music. I don't know what it is, but it is really damn good. And some of these maps actually do have some background scores as well, like A Cold Wind Blows from Call of the Dead. You just kind of hear that kind of ambience in the background. It's incredible. There's some really cool loading screen music in this game as well that really adds a lot to the maps when you're first loading them up. It is really solid, but obviously it's not better than the top 4 on this list because those games really go hard with the music. In number 4 spot, I've got Black Ops 2. Now, Black Ops 2 was so innovative when it comes to music. This was the first time in Zombies history where we had map location specific themes, which this basically means certain themes that would only play when you're in that section of the map, whether it's the first time you come across that section of the map or whether it's, you know, you're there later on in the game. And this happens with Mob of the Dead. They actually made a big point about this. Jason Blundell talked about it when they first were talking about the map.
We did something new for the first time. We have actually contextual music that goes off. So that's a first for Zombies. And it's all based around this horror thriller aspect.
Every location will have a specific stinger that you hear when you find it, when you discover it, when you start unraveling the story, we start building on the music that you're hearing, and it's really enhancing that experience and going along with it in parallel.
And he made a pretty big deal about it. He said this is a huge thing for Zombies, and he was not kidding because Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4 uses this as well, and it adds so much to your map experience, especially the first time playing it, because map personality is one thing, right? Obviously, you want your maps to have personality. You want your maps to really feel unique and different from other maps, but taking it a step further would be making specific areas of the map also have their own separate unique personalities. And you don't have to completely change the look and location of the map to do that. You could just simply add music that ties to it, that makes it feel different. And Mob of the Dead does that really well, where yes, there's different areas that have different types of music playing. Buried does the same thing. Origins does the same thing. Then you go into Black Ops 3, it does it in every single map as well. And it's so amazing, and it adds so much to the cinematic feel of these maps. And so you gotta give Black Ops 2 a lot of credit for that. Transit and Die Rise didn't really have a lot of great music, unfortunately. There's some decent music there, I guess, but most of it's not very good. But Mob of the Dead, Buried, and Origins is incredible with the music, enough to the point where it has to go in this spot. And yeah, even some of the Easter egg songs are pretty good. I think it's definitely some of the weaker Easter egg songs, at least compared to like Black Ops 1 and World at War, but I still really enjoy them. Obviously, like Always Running is probably my favorite Easter egg song ever. Archangel's decent. Rusty Cage is fine, I guess. I'm not really a big fan of the Clark S. Nova songs in this game. We All Fall Down and Carrion. They're not the best, but they're fine. Obviously, Maluka makes her Zombies debut here as a singer for the maps Mob of the Dead and Buried with the songs Where Are We Going and Always Running, and she is incredible. I would say just as good as Elena Segman. So yes, Black Ops 2, incredible music all the way through. In number 3 spot, I've got Infinite Warfare. And Infinite Warfare is one where 99% of my love for the music in this game comes from licensed music. There's not a lot of original themes that are that great. I mean, sure, the menu music's pretty cool. There's a couple other soundtracks in there that are cool. Round change music is cool. I like all that stuff, but it's not like absolutely fantastic. This game does thrive in its licensed music, especially for the first 3 maps. Attack of the Radioactive Thing and Beast from Beyond don't really have that much licensed music. There's a couple of like classic songs in Attack of the Radioactive Thing, sure, but the majority of this incredible music comes from Spaceland, Raven the Redwoods, and Shaolin Shuffle. Specifically, let me read out some of the songs that I absolutely love from these maps. So first of all, in Spaceland, Living on Video, Tainted Love, Sunglasses at Night, Underpass, The Metro, Seconds, You Dropped a Bomb on Me, Relax. So many amazing songs. And then you go to Raven the Redwoods. There's actually quite a few really good songs on Raven the Redwoods as well. That, I mean, sure, it's only tied to that one area of the map, the whole like rave area. But when you're there and you're listening to music, it's pretty awesome. Shaolin Shuffle, it has that song everyone knows from Spider-Man 3, which I think is pretty cool. It has the Disco Inferno song when you're inside of the disco room itself. Like, so many cool different areas that'll play different types of music. And I especially love it on Shaolin Shuffle because of that. The fact that you get different styles of music depending on where you are in the map. If you are in the bar, it's like rock club music, the type of music you would expect to hear in a bar. You go to the disco club, you're going to be hearing disco music, the type of music you'd expect to hear that. And you go out in the streets or near the strip club, you hear jazz music. Like, it's so cool the way they work that around. And then obviously Spaceland, it's just the same music all the way through, but it only plays in certain areas of the park. Like if you're underground, it's not going to be playing down there because there's no speakers down there, but the speakers around the park, when you get to hear the music, it just adds so much to the actual like immersion to the map. So yeah, Infinite Warfare, absolutely fantastic with the music, and a lot of players unfortunately play without the music on this game for some reason. I don't get it. I guess if you're a YouTuber, you don't want to listen to the music because you could get copyright claimed. I understand that, but it adds so much to the map. I cannot stress it enough. And the boss fight music for Mephistopheles is pretty amazing as well. And the number 2 spot is going to be Black Ops 3, which this just kind of expands upon what Black Ops 2 is doing, where you do have very specific map themes in different areas of each of the map. And yes, Black Ops 3 does that really, really well, especially well on Garad Krovi. I feel like that one I notice it more than anything, but obviously it's there on Zetsubou, it's there on Revelations, it's there. Revelations actually gets really cool with it because they bring back a lot of classic map themes based on the map's locations that are on Revelations itself, and you go into those areas, you hear some of the music from those maps. That's pretty cool. Like if you enter the Shangri-La area, you hear the Shangri-La loading screen music, stuff like that's pretty cool. Shadows of Evil, obviously the best round change music ever. Most of the round change music in this game is pretty solid, and the Easter egg songs are actually fantastic too. I mean, obviously you have Snakeskin Boots, Cold Hard Cash, Dead Ended, Dead Again, The Gift, Dead Flowers. All these songs are masterpieces, at least in my opinion, so definitely a lot of solid music there. And like I said, all the music on the map is just great. I can't stress it enough. They fit the map so well, the personality that it gives to the maps, the boss fight music. It is some of the best we've ever seen from zombies. But in the number 1 spot, without a doubt, has to be Black Ops 4, which just like Black Ops 2 and 3, it does a lot of the same things where there's a lot of map themes that play on the map in different areas, but it just does it to like the next level. It is insane how much music there is within Black Ops 4 Zombies on literally every single map. Some of the best round change music comes from Black Ops 4. Some of the best game over music comes from Black Ops 4. Easily some of the best boss fight music, especially the boss fight music on Voyage of Despair, on 9, Dead of the Night, and Alpha Omega. All these maps have some amazing boss fight music, and just like I said before with the map themes when you're going to different locations, they do such a great job with it. One of my favorite examples is actually on Ancient Evil. Depending on what side of the map you're on, you have some very different style of music. When you're actually in the main area itself, it's the type of music you would expect to hear from this era, especially in an area like Delphi. But when you take that ride on Pegasus all the way to the other section of the map, you get some very different music. It's a lot darker in its tone, and I really like that difference in music, and it always is playing as well. Like, there's very rare moments in this game where you're not hearing music playing on the map in some way, shape, or form. There is just so much to it, and because you have 8 maps in the game, obviously there's just so much more to talk about. And the majority of the Easter egg songs themselves are pretty incredible in this game as well. I especially love Drowning. I know a lot of people don't like Drowning, but I like it quite a bit. Mad Hatter as well by Avenged Sevenfold is fantastic. Probably my favorite Avenged Sevenfold song of all time. And there's a couple songs I don't absolutely love. I'm not a big fan of The Well, but most of them are amazing. One of my favorite songs actually comes from Togger Toten. It's A Light from the Shore. It doesn't even have any lyrics. It's just full on instrumentals, but it is such beautiful, beautiful music. Overall, music is so important to video games and movies as well, not just video games, but especially to Call of Duty Zombies. I've noticed music adds so much to the experience, and I think it's so much more important than people realize, especially when it comes to how you remember these games later on in life, how you think about them, how you feel nostalgic for them. The music is a huge part of it, and these are just the games that I felt like did it the best in it. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I would love to hear your list. I will see you guys on the next one. Peace out.